Good early morning to you. It is Wednesday, January 24th at 1:03 a.m. Your Purdue Boilermakers improved to 18-2 late last night at Mackey Arena by absolutely throttling the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan has been reeling a bit as a program, as a team. They've had had a weird season. They've struggled a lot. Their only identity is that they're not very good, really, right now. And Purdue exploited that in the most efficient possible way. I'll talk a lot about that. Lance Jones probably played his best game as a Boilermaker yet. Everything was on display. It was fun to be in Mackey Arena tonight, and that is why I am streaming late, posting late, however you want to look at it. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in live. Thanks to everybody who is listening on delay, because you're a sicko if you're up at 1 a.m. craving to see this. And I see Eric Brickley is here and is a sicko, and I appreciate it. I love it. Before I get into my thoughts on the game, let me thank our pals at AJ's. Head over to AJ's when you're on campus. EatAJ's.com before you go there. Grab some mac and cheese bites and pretzel bites. Grab a pint. Burgers, beef, and beer. Super helpful people there. Great staff. TV's on the wall. You cannot go wrong. That's AJ's on Vine. AJ's near the fire station. And also, if you need some new gear, you don't want this stuff because this is the swoosh. You don't want that. What you want is the old-timey, soft, comfy stuff, and you want to go over to homefieldapparel.com. Do it right after you get off here. Put some stuff in the basket. There's a sweatshirt there that I've got my eye on. It's a block P. I have the same T-shirt, but I don't have the sweatshirt. Put in your basket. Enter Boiled23 at checkout. Get 15% off your first order. Homefield Apparel. And also, I've got another link down below. There's a couple new designs on our Redbubble sticker and T-shirt site. A pal of mine asked if I could do something for him, so I put one on there, and I did a couple others because I was inspired. And I might have a couple more new designs on there in the coming weeks. I've got some ideas kind of rattling around my head. One of them is hard to execute. I don't know if I executed one of them great, but you can check it out. And I think maybe you'll see something neat and different there. So, yeah, it was a fun night in Mackey, and if you are not fortunate enough to have a subscription to Peacock, it's okay. It's okay. I'll tell you about it. If you weren't fortunate enough to be in Mackey, it's okay. It's okay. No worries. You saw the score already. You saw that Purdue thumped them. You saw Purdue's improved 18-2, and Michigan continues to try to find their way. Obviously, they didn't have their starting point guard. I don't know if it would have mattered much tonight. Purdue really just played a heck of a game. The interesting thing is, very weird game. I think, and I haven't double checked the stats yet, but I think there was one turnover in the game for Purdue. I think it was Smith had one about midway through the second half. Purdue played a very clean game. If it wasn't one turnover, it wasn't many more than that. Purdue didn't turn over the ball hardly at all. They shot the free throw very poorly early in the game. Then all of a sudden they started stroking the free throws, and they shot 3-pointers out of their mind early in the game. I think they were at 70%, 7 for 10 early in the second half, thanks to Lance Jones and Fletch Lawyer, and I think Smith. No, I don't think he had a three. Smith, I know, was near a triple-double. Edey had a somewhat quiet game. He started the game off very quietly, which is fine. I think it's good for this team to not lean on him every game, but a lot of other guys were stepping up, and it was great to see. I'll talk about the like I said, I'm going to talk about the specific stats here in a second, but the vibe in Mackey was awesome. I swear it was like the students, the paint crew were like they were fired out of a cannon. They were chomping at the bit to give Michigan some hell. They did it. It was loud. It was louder than I think quite a few games I've been to this year. I don't know why. It was a fun environment, like it always is in Mackey, and it's always nice. I saw my pal Ryan at the end in the concourse after the game. It's always nice. I've said this all season. The games where you can cruise to victory in the second half, there's no reason to get your blood pressure up and get angry for no good reason. And this was definitely one of those games. And I think this is another thing. I kind of talked to you guys a little bit about savoring things for what they are. Purdue's effort, the fact that they are beating teams so soundly, so many different ways, night in, night out, taking all comers, and they're doing it. This is special. It's a special season. We can put our focus wherever we want, but we should enjoy things are exactly as they are for what they are right now. This is a special team. Purdue went. Let's look at the stats. One of the things that jumps out right away if you've looked at the box score, Purdue went 15 deep tonight. Incredible number. So they played almost everybody on the bench. Incredible amount of guys got minutes. Nobody on Purdue played more than 27 minutes. Nobody on Michigan played more than 30 for a different reason. They had big men that got in foul trouble. Edey will do that to you, but it wasn't just Edey. Kaufman-Renn also played a great game around the basket, and Gillis played huge. First had a couple nifty plays, but also had some you're like, man, if he could put this together, he'd be pretty nifty. He had one that he missed a bunny layup, and it was a bit of a light moment, but they're like, dang man, I want to see him play like he's capable of playing. Another big fun moment of the night. Ethan Morton hit a 3 from the corner. That pretty much ripped the roof off of Mackey. It was a fun moment. But I can't stress how important the low minutes are to me, anyway. A lot of people complain about Painter not giving guys rest. Well, tonight it was funny. If you look at Edey's numbers specifically, he finishes with 16 points, 10 rebounds. Quiet night on the blocks. He only had one block. No turnovers. But 16 and 10. Quiet night in just 26 minutes. And let's see. He only shot the ball. Well, he shot the ball 13 times. And he again, like the last game, he shot below 50%. Pretty unusual for him, but not the end of the world. Again, the focus is on bigger, better things. And I don't think a 16 and 10 night puts him in a position where he's knocked out of the Player of the Year lead. Almost everybody, there are some of you guys who look at Vegas for even things like this, but he's got a big lead for the Player of the Year competitions, the multiple awards that are coming out at the end of the year. Will he sweep him like he did last year? Who knows? It sure feels like he will, but they didn't have to have Edey have a huge night tonight, and he didn't. Braden Smith started off on fire. He was driving the ball effectively. His vision was amazing. He would see opportunities. The seas would part, and he would take the ball right to the hoop. He finishes with 11 points, 10 assists, and 7 boards. Almost got there. That triple-double is tantalizingly close. I think it's the third time this year where he's been within a couple of one statistical category from that triple-double. Let's see. I was wrong about the turnovers. I was way off on the turnovers. So he had 2 turnovers. Of the starting 5, he had 2. Kaufman had 1. It felt like there were no turnovers. But the part of the deal is a lot of the guys who got to play coming off the bench turned the ball over a little bit. First had a couple turnovers. Morton had a turnover. I think that's it. So the total of 7 turnovers. Pretty good night. Michigan also 7 turnovers. If you just look at the stats, you're like, okay, some of these things don't really make a ton of sense. But the game was so weird and so out of hand. The guys at Sleepers Media, I don't think they were joking. One of them went to Michigan. I think one of them is raised a Michigan State fan. I think that's right. But they were saying that they could see a scenario where Purdue won by 40 or more points. And I thought it was absolute crazy talk when I saw it. I thought that was just like a fan kind of just saying, okay, it's going to be bad, just resigning yourself to something and dealing with what's coming. Purdue could have won by 40 points. And they wouldn't have to have kept their foot on the gas for much of the game. But they led off with like 9 minutes left. I think that was about it. 6 or 9 minutes left. There was no more Braden Smith on the court, no more Fletch Lawyer on the court, no more Zach Edey on the court, and just after that, no more Lance Jones. Like I said, 26 minutes, 27 minutes, 22 minutes for Lawyer, 19 minutes for Trey Kaufman-Renn. Off the bench, Heidi played 13, First played 11, Gillis played 16, and then Miles Colvin played 7 minutes. In his limited opportunity, he went 3 for 3 from 3. Also, Barrett went 1 for 1 from 3. Like I said, Morton 1 from 1 for 3. That stuff is so demoralizing. Purdue gets to 99 points. 99-67 is the final. And if you didn't watch the game, you didn't watch the end of the game, one thing that was interesting, the students were salivating to see 100 points. Everybody wants to see that marker. They want that, and they want their free Slim Chickens. Those are the two things the students really want. And Purdue could have easily gotten to 100 points. I think with a minute and a half, they got to that 99 mark. I think that's right. And they got the ball back with a full possession. And they came down the court, and they could have run their offense, had the guys come off the bench, some of the walk-ons run the offense as normal, and they would have scored. But instead, Painter ran. He demanded. He came on the court. He was yelling at them, do not shoot the ball. Do not run the score up as much as as little as you can. Keep this as painless as you can. Losing 99-67 is obviously pretty painful, but Purdue called off the Dogs in so many different ways tonight. Painter did everything he could to keep this from getting ugly, and it still was a very ugly game. Let's see. Anything else of note? Lawyer, he shoots 66% from three. Purdue, as a team, shoots 66% from three. Purdue only shoots 65 from the free throw line. Like I said, not the greatest free throw shooting. Lawyer didn't shoot well, which is really unusual, I think, for him. Go 1 for 3 from the line. Edey went 4 for 6. He's near his average there. I think maybe right at his average. Purdue was out-rebounded. This is another weird stat. They were out-rebounded until about 12 minutes left in the game. They were getting out-rebounded by Michigan. Michigan has very good size. It's some weird things happening in the game, too. One of Michigan's players, can't remember, was it Llewellyn? It may have been Llewellyn, because I think he was their best player all game. I think it was Llewellyn. I don't have his number in front of me. But it looks like he just had knee surgery, some sort of scope of some sort. He was wearing a big knee brace. He was wearing two types of knee brace, actually, a compression brace, a yellow compression brace to match Michigan's maize uniforms, which I think is a great look. Those harken back to the Fab Five. And then he had a girder brace on the side, one of those big Donjoy braces. And he was bleeding through his compression brace. So you could see blood for the entire second half through his compression brace. The really interesting thing to me about that is blood on a jersey is completely illegal, but a guy bleeding profusely from his knee, I guess, is completely legal. Who would have thought it? Purdue was favored by 17.5 points tonight. And like I said, they win by 32. Win going away. But Michigan, their size, I don't want to say caused problems for Purdue, but it was a different look. If you didn't know this, I can't remember the guy's first name, but Shitter, whatever his name is, played quite a bit. I don't know what year he is. It feels like he's been at Michigan for 17 or 18 years. I'm sure it's not that bad. But he played 20 minutes, and part of the reason he played so many minutes is they were throwing fouls at Edey. He fouled out. One of their starters, I believe, fouled out as well. Yeah, Reed fouled out as well. They were trying to do everything they could to keep Edey away from the basket, and they're relatively big, but they're not as physically strong as, of course, Zach Edey, but who is. But it wasn't just Edey who was creating problems for him. Also, like I said, Trey Kaufman-Renn played a really tough game. I think there were a couple plays where Edey was fronting one of their big men, really taking him down in the blocks, making sure that he couldn't get near the basket. And he'd try to get Edey off his feet. And then I think Trey Kaufman-Renn, did he block he had 3 block shots. Kaufman-Renn, so 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 block shots. That's a big deal. And there's a lot of maturation going on. One of the biggest things, and maybe you guys see this too, but one of my favorite things I'm seeing right now is, first one is Lawyer seems to be taking very, very good and smart shots. That's a huge deal because his efficiency goes up when he takes good shots. Paul Lusk talked about this in the comments before the game. Another thing I think many of you asked after the last game, how is Trey Kaufman-Renn's ankle? In case you didn't listen to the coach, he practiced like normal. They dodged a bullet. You can say they were blessed, whatever you want to say, because his knee injury versus Iowa, or ankle injury versus Iowa looked like it could have been significant. He was walking around immediately at Carver Hawkeye. Is that right? Yeah. And he practiced like normal. They said he was great. He was 100%, and he looked awesome. He looked agile. He looked strong. Just no issues at all. This is the thing that's so amazing about Purdue, and Painter talks about it as much as he can. But Somebody asked the question is, why did you take Colvin out with 10 minutes left or 4 minutes left or 6 minutes left, whatever it was? And Painter said, it's not that I'm taking one guy out and nobody's going in like a punishment. I'm taking him out and I'm putting another player in that may not get the minutes. And he said, some of these guys deserve more minutes. They deserve more play. They define the program. They work hard, they bleed, they sweat for the program, and they don't get many times of play. The ironic thing about him saying that was that those guys wanted to shoot and score too. You have guys like Barrett and King and Morton specifically, who they want to shoot the ball. They want to get a chance to get it to score. That's one more thing. Berg, I think, had a couple. Berg came in with like 6 minutes left. So yeah, he played 6 minutes. These are those games this is what he's done a lot this year, where he'll come in and, man, that's a tough assignment. Your team is worn out, you're tired, you're demoralized, and now you've got to deal with another 7'2" guy who's pretty nimble and awfully strong. That's a tough thing to do. So you got a couple of you guys on here live commenting. I appreciate it. Like I said, Eric Brickley's here. He says, let's go. Been waiting on the page for this to go live. Eric, thanks for your patience. I ran into a guy named Jim from Crown Point. Met him leaving the bathroom, which is a great place to start a friendship. But nice to meet you, Jim. But he was talking about he loves watching the show, and he said he heard my voice again. And he's like, okay, I know that voice. And so that's a cool moment. But thanks to all you guys, like I said, that guys and girls who this is your thing, this is what your favorite thing to tune in to. I love it. It means a lot. I'm there with you. That bleeding with them and enjoying this season. Hopefully keeping you guys tuned in, even when it feels like the regular season is somewhat a formality. It's a lot more than that, because you guys know this. If you've played sports at all, this whole thing's a journey, and things you saw tonight, like one of the things you see, Lance Jones gets pissed off during the game, and the guy has a smile almost all the time, but he gets mad. He got mad at himself for turning the ball over. He got mad at a no call, and it was boiling over, and then he started guarding the Michigan guards to about 80 feet. Let's see, how many steals did Jones have? He had 3 steals. Jones had 3 steals, so 24 points, 3 steals, an assist. He didn't have any rebounds, and no turnovers. Incredible day, but the little details matter of this team. And a game like that, where I thought the way it started, I said, well, this is going to be the Braden Smith game, because he started so efficiently. He was scoring at will, and then Lance Jones kind of grabbed the thing away and took it from him. So if you say, like, we've talked about the idea that there's a big 3 for Purdue when they're really successful. Of course, you got Jones with 24, Edey with 16, Smith with 11. If you just look at points, then Lawyer with 7. Off the bench, you have Gillis with 8. You have Colvin with 9. It's really not the big 3. That's not the formula tonight. Like I said, this is not a normal game. When you beat a team that way, it's not normal. So, all right. Jeff says 10 p.m. I think he must be referencing the time if he's out west. So thanks for tuning in other time zones. That's great. James Phillips says, James Phipps says, Lance Jones might be the piece we need. James, I completely agree, and I think I've been saying this. He has been the perfect fit. Hopefully he's the guy you need. I think if nothing else, just the fact that if you listen to his post-game comments, he just says he loves this team. He loves being a part of this team. I think there was somebody there from Carbondale, from Southern Illinois. I think they're working on some sort of story. It sounded like that was a member of the Southern Illinois media, the Carbondale paper, whatever it is. Or I don't know if they have a paper. Maybe they have a physical paper. Maybe it's just a website. But they were covering this game to watch Lance Jones. And that's pretty cool. He recognized them and they recognized him. Bitcoin is Freedom says, let's go, baby. Yeah, right on. This is a fun one. Nathan Anderson says, does Lance have the Carson green light from Coach Matt Painter? I think absolutely Lance has the green light. I think Painter gives the green light to a lot more guys than we may give credit for. This is one thing. Painter's a player's coach. There's some things he doesn't like seeing. He always talks about taking good shots within the system. I talked about the things I like. One of the things was Lawyer being efficient. The second one, and I wanted to remark about this, and I think this is an important point. I may have not hit this hard enough, and I want to hit it again. And I got one more, see if I remember. It is that Braden Smith, when he's not hitting his shot and he looks fatigued, he's still busting his ass. He is still running the offense as hard as he can. He's still diving after balls. He's still getting down in a defensive stance every time. He never comes out of a timeout or a dead ball and without his rear end close to the ground. If you guys have ever played defense and you're a guard, you got to get in the stance. You got to have your quads burning a little bit, right? Even when he's tired, he doesn't stop that. He doesn't stop his effort. That's a big deal. That sets a precedent with a team. He did not look tired tonight. He also didn't have to play many minutes. But that's one thing. The Painter putting the whole team on a pitch count, if you will, whatever you want to, cross your metaphors. That's a big deal. The whole team getting a chance to rest a bit. That's a big deal. And they don't play again until the 28th. And I think that's Rutgers or Notre Dame. We can look at that real quick in a second. But that was a big deal. The other thing that's a big deal to me is, and I touched on this a minute ago, is if Edey doesn't get his stats, nobody cares. The players don't care. Edey doesn't care. Painter doesn't care. I don't even know. The fans may care a little bit, right? I think we all want to see him score 30 a game and cruise towards the Rick Mount watermark, right? And the Joe Barry Carroll watermark with rebounds. We do want to see that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. The bigger picture is if you can get the guy some rest when you can, that's a very, very good thing. So, all right. Preston Bannock says, let's hit that like button. Yeah, smash that like button. Thanks, Preston. Appreciate it. Bitcoin's Freedom says, your ice is unique and beautiful. Yeah, it's the ice is dialed in tonight. But the glass, I've been reading the comments. Tried to get the clinking just right tonight. One big thing, though, my voice is always shot after these games, even if it's a blowout, and so the ice water feels exceptionally good tonight, and I don't want to drink bourbon. Bourbon is weird. Sometimes if you have just one bourbon, it'll put you right to sleep. Sometimes it'll kind of wire you up, especially if I enjoy the time with you guys, the show. And so I was like, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm trying to get to sleep right after I do this. Let's see. James Phipps again says, love the team chemistry. You can see it on the bench during the games. Yep. Preston Bannigan says, also nice win to celebrate getting my actual Purdue diploma. Whoa. Preston Bannick says, nice win to celebrate getting my actual Purdue diploma. I don't know the story there, but congratulations. That's awesome. That's awesome. We actually have a big, Preston, you're at the tail end of your academic career. My son is about to start his college career. If you watch this regularly, you've heard me talk about that more and more. We're getting closer to him making his decision probably within the next month and a half, 2 months, I'm guessing. But we've got a meeting at Purdue with Purdue in the coming days, so we're excited about that. He's doing great things. It's great. It's awesome to be near it and blessing to be part of it. So Andy in Colorado says, good evening, how are you? Doug and Angie Lotta say, payback for football. Sure. There's some funny signs. Students always have funny signs, but if you get to watch it, if you get to go back and watch it on Peacock, there were some very funny signs. The paint crew always brings that. College kids are hilarious and clever. And in Colorado said, absolutely love seeing the local kid from CC hit the three. So who went to, is that Lafayette Central Catholic? Is that the reference? I'm guessing. Who's the local kid from Central Catholic? You got to fill me in on this. I don't know. I'm not well versed. I'm guessing it's one of the legacy players. Barrett? Is that Barrett? Did he hit three? King? I should know that, I'm sure. Yeah, it's got to be Barrett. That's my bet. It's got to be Barrett. It's got to be Barrett. So, like I said, those guys coming off the bench and bombing threes, though, I mean, the crowd, it fuels the crowd. It makes the game pretty much impossible, like, to even feel positive about, But that's got to be what you're talking about. Central Catholic, yep. Let's see. Eric Brickley says, do you think we see a big Gillis night this season? Would love to see him have a big scoring night for his senior season. Yeah, I do think we will. I think the question is, when is it going to happen? He's been so patient offensively. He doesn't force anything. Yes, I think it's going to happen. So we know he can score. We know he can fill it up. He's been extremely patient on the offensive end and has not forced his shot. And at the same time, he hasn't been a guy who has not taken the shot when it's given, when the opportunity is given. So he's not doing what he did against FDU, which bothered me. It was the hardest thing to watch at the end of the season, where he was pump faking. He probably said, I'm never doing that again to myself. I'm just going to pump fake everybody to death. come out there, shoot your shot, right? I think his big game's coming, though. And if it doesn't, we've had big games as fans. We've gotten to watch him play big games. He is steady Eddie, though. What's like 8 to 10 points a night, pretty much, in relatively limited minutes. Works hard, dives for balls, plays through injury. Like I said, he got the nickname the glue guy last year, right? From whatever the member of the national media. We already know that that's his deal. That's what he is. But truth be told, all these guys have such an important role. I mean, that's the thing that's so great about this team. So many guys are accepting a role that's limited. Morton comes in, plays hard defense, maybe takes 1 or 2 shots, and just busts his ass. I know there are a lot of Purdue fans that are down on him. I don't get it. He's not shooting the ball like he used to. And we saw Ethan Morton shoot the ball 44% from 3 for an entire season. He's not up there. He's in the 20s now. It doesn't matter because the guys have a role. He's got a role and he's accepting of that role. How hard is that to accept that role? I don't really enjoy at all hearing Purdue fans badmouth that guy or any other Purdue player. If these guys aren't bad for the team, if they're not tearing each other down, I hate seeing that stuff. I hate hearing it. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but we can be better than that. Purdue fans are better than that in general. I know there's a lot of us, so there's some jackasses out there in this group. There's obviously plenty of them because you get tens of thousands of new Purdue alums every year. But I just hate seeing that stuff on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. I hate it. Instagram comments, hate it all. Indian Colorado says Carson Barrett. Thank you. I apologize for not knowing that. I should be better versed in that. Indian Colorado says, wait, unless it wasn't Barrett, in which case I'm dumber than usual. No, Barrett hit a 3, so I know he hit a 3. I double-checked that. James Phipps says the putback from Gillis, missed free throw was amazing. Yeah, there were a couple individual plays that were pretty astonishing. That's a big one. Edie's, they called the dunk of the game, was pretty, I didn't talk about one of my favorite plays at all either. But Edie had a play where he was surrounded by Michigan players. 3 Michigan players around him. The ball gets knocked up in the air. He kind of gathers it. He's spinning as he's pursuing the ball. But his presence of mind to know exactly where the rim was and to gather and go into one motion to dunk it. I think everybody in the world who's my height, I'm 5'4", or up to 6 foot, obviously we can't do that easily at all. None of us can do that. You're taller, you can do it easier. And I know he's just tall to some people out there. But his coordination, his ability to gather himself and flush that thing that hard with 3 people wanting that ball around you, that's the thing that gets discounted a lot. Every one of those guys want to stop him. Everybody is trying to find a way to knock Edie out of his rhythm. Every team, every coach. And there are so many good coaches in the Big Ten. And Purdue has played other good coaches outside of there. And you've played a lot of guys who are freaking amazing world-class athletes, and their whole purpose is to stop him. Yet they can't. That's another one. And finally, my favorite play of the game was Waddell's dunk. So I think he was on the left side at three-point line, drove, and he rose above everybody and dunked it with the right hand. Number one, he's a longer player. He's a lot longer player than his dad. Like his wingspan's incredible. He's a lot lankier, but he can fly. And I know there are people that just love Waddell because of that potential, but I love Waddell because he's still playing with a smile on his face in spite of the fact he doesn't get much playing time. When he comes in, he looks like he wants to be in there and he's enjoying himself. And that game, that must be fun to get that little bit of whatever you want to call it, if it's a endorphin rush or just a freaking release of frustration. That is awesome. So that's my favorite play of the game. Let's see. Joe Inslee says, late arrival, not sure if it made the show. Did you see the paint crew sign? I had a funny sign, but Michigan stole it. Yes, that was one of them that I was referencing. I think there were 2 or 3 that were really funny. And yeah, that's a good one. Anytime you can take a jab at Michigan football, it's good. There was another sign. I think I saw a sign that said the cost of the football team being good was the loss of basketball. And it was done with pictures. Hard to explain, but it's hilarious and weird. There's no way Harbaugh survives this season. I just don't think there's any way. You watch them play, they're toast. And they're still dangerous. That's the thing that's weird. They have so much talent, and they're just not good. Let's see. Preston Manigan said family cheered for the loudest for First and Morton. Yeah, I think everybody. I think if you're a real Purdue fan, you love those guys, and you want to see them do great. And it's kind of tough to see them not doing great. Let's see. Trying to shut down. K. Nick says, I realize Purdue is very good, but I've never seen Michigan so devoid of top. What are you talking about? Talent? Top talent? Michigan has talent. Michigan has talent. They're out a starter right now, but they are a mess. They're a mess. They are a broken team, and they don't care about each other. The chemistry's shot. It's hard to turn a switch and even for one night put it all together, even when you're really good, talented players. But it starts at the top. Howard has had a bizarre year in like every way, and I think the longer this plays out, the more weird it's going to get. So I think he's done. And in Colorado saying, seeing Waddell and Martin on the floor at the same time. Chase Martin's another guy I didn't mention. Yeah, that's awesome. Wearing their father's numbers, that's so cool. Brings great smile to my face. Yeah, that's if you're an old guy like me, I mean, I was on campus like you, it sounds like, when their dads were playing. And I graduated in 97, so that would have been in 93, 94. They were a really important part of that Glenn Robinson team, kind of an unsung part of that Glenn Robinson team, obviously, because Glenn took all the bright lights, but man, those guys hit big shots. They were both so damn good. That Penn State game where Martin was falling into the crowd hitting threes, and the Penn State fans were talking like he's literally in them, yelling at them. It's one of my favorite things ever. Waddell just calmly knocking down shots versus Kansas to move Purdue on to play Duke in Tennessee. Man, some of my favorite memories as a Purdue student. Andy in Colorado says Harbaugh going to the Chargers anyway. Yeah, he interviewed there, and it sounds like he got what they call it they didn't call it a lucrative offer. They called it it wasn't historic. It was something like that. So they've thrown a bag of cash at him. It's not. Is it a done deal? I don't think it's a done deal. I don't think that changed this evening, unless I missed it, which is impossible. It's possible, but I think he's going to the Chargers too. He also interviewed with the Falcons, but they're not playing like the Chargers are. Okay, Nick Cristiano says, late to the party as well. Was anything regarding Colvin's frustration after hitting three mentioned? Apparently, he was upset not getting the ball enough. Well, if you've got one that is upset that he's not getting the ball enough and not shooting enough, I think that's natural. It's a big roster. I don't know anything about Colvin being frustrated. I couldn't see it in the stadium or the arena, pardon me. All I could see is that he was knocking out shots. I mean, his shot looked great out of his hands. Like, he's had some games this year where he didn't look like he's the shooter that he is. Tonight, he was pure. And a couple of those shots had guys right nearby, if not right in his face. He took one in pretty good traffic and just Drano, right? So I don't know anything about that. I hope there's nothing more to that, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Dead Hoosier says, Boiler up, just tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you're here. I hope you're not an insomniac and it woke up and this happened to be something to do. Hope you're already awake. Bitcoin is Freedom says, yeah, Colvin yelled, give me the effing ball on national TV. Will be interesting to see what happens if Cam starts over him next year, especially with such a stat class coming in. So much can happen between now and then. So much can happen. You could have a scenario, seriously, you could have a scenario where Purdue gets on a tournament run and Colvin is an important part of it because he makes big shots and it changes everything, right? Positive or negative. It could make him say, okay, yeah, I'm done, right? I think he's a guy who believes he's really good. He is really talented. He has so far to go defensively. Now, give me the damn ball, give me the effing ball, whatever was said. I don't have any proof of that being said. I don't know. So I'll take your word for it that you saw it, but I didn't see it. I couldn't see it from where I was. So I don't know if I'm going to go back and watch this entire game or not. Maybe I'll try to find it on Matthew Loves Ball highlights on YouTube. Great feed. But I don't think I'll be able to see that on those either. So I hope everybody understands that they're part of something special. That's what I hope. And being a freshman and being surrounded by guys that are that talented, being surrounded by guys that are doing it on both sides of the ball. That's one thing. Colvin is still struggling to stay with his man on defense. I mean, that has nothing to do with him getting the ball to shoot or whatever. But I don't know who was playing point at that point, because Colvin played with the ones for chunks, and he also played with kind of that second group as well. He got his looks, and he took advantage of them. Good for him. Let's see. Yeah, there's a video. He says Bitcoin was free, so there's a video being passed around. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I sure as hell don't want to see somebody being grouchy within the team and ruining any of the chemistry. And I would say that you've got a lot of vets in that room. You got guys like Edie who probably don't have any time for that shit. So hopefully it gets nipped if it's real, that's what's happening. I see it with my own eyes, I'll react. But he's upset with Lance. Okay, well that's a mistake. So if he's upset with Lance, that's a bad decision. Here's the thing. Let's be real honest. Both Lance and Colvin, like I said, I love Lance and what he is for this team. He does not like passing if he's got a chance to shoot an open shot or drive. He likes to score. That's the first thing. Does he have the green light? Yeah, he has the green light. I think if it's within the system, I think Painter would always say, yeah, shoot the ball. Colvin is a freshman. He's a true freshman. His role is to come off the bench, hit shots, and play defense right now. Lance is not a natural point guard. I think he may have been playing point guard at that point. I don't know. I really don't know the situation. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But if he's got a problem with Lance, the seniors, the captains, they're going to wrangle that pretty quickly. That's my guess, if I were a betting man. And if he's going to talk like that, I think he'll play less. And he's not playing a lot right now. He played 10 minutes, and I don't like any talk about egos breaking things up, because they can destroy a team. That stuff can just mess up a chemistry so quickly. We've seen it as Purdue fans many times, where a guy's ego or his attitude destroys a team. Now, I think overanalyzing this. I'm already analyzing too much. Just the fact that I'm talking about it. Let's enjoy the win. Let's see how this goes. Let's check out the next game, see how Purdue plays. Let me look at the schedule. I promise to do that real quickly. Purdue's got upcoming on the 28th is their next game. They play at Rutgers. No problem. That's a joke. So 1 p.m. Game on the 28th at Rutgers. And these next few games are kind of important. So let's look at this real quickly together. At Rutgers, this is one of those games where you can prove some stuff to yourself and say, all right, let's exercise a demon. Let's come in this game and be like, all right, the RAC is a tough place for Purdue to play. Regardless of which Purdue team has been there the last few years, they have struggled at Rutgers. Good chance to exercise a demon. Good chance to beat the hell out of them. And I mean that. Rutgers is not the same team they've been the last few years. They played a couple good games this year. They are not what they've been. They still have a very, very good big man. Two very good big men. But we'll see. I guess a big man and an athletic medium big man. Then you've got versus Northwestern. No problem. So these two games are pretty important, right? I would say the next 4 games are the most important stretch of the Big Ten season. You'll see why here. So you've got at Rutgers versus Northwestern, at Wisconsin, and then versus IU. A lot can happen in those 4 games. Those are very important games if you're into that sort of thing. Looking at the Big Ten race, looking at how this team handles things. Will this stupid thing with Colvin be a problem? If it's a real thing, I mean, goodness gracious. There's business to be done. This is where you prove your professionalism as a team. This is where this team says, okay, it's business time, right? It's time. You're not gonna play a couple cupcakes here. I know you've got teams that are not the best teams in the league, but these are teams, like I said, beat Rutgers and Northwestern first. Make that your focus right now, fellas. Get that stuff behind you. Put this stuff to bed so you can say, okay, we're moving on. Now we're gonna put big teams in our sights. Bigger things. We're gonna say, or you could just say, it's not really about them. It's about us. We beat ourselves when those teams beat us. Whatever. Anyway, Jennifer W says, I think Lance just didn't see him in the instance. If it's the same player, I recall. Great. Like I said, I hope this isn't a big deal. Appreciate you sounding off. Indian Colorado says, I was at Purdue starting in January in 96, so a little after you, but lots of overlap there. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty good era there. I mean, you got to see much better football than I did. I graduated and the football program turned around, so that's awesome. Andy in Colorado says, I bet we smack Rutgers this time, honestly. Further change in trajectory from last season. Yeah, that would be a good sign. That'd be a really good sign. I'm here for it. Bitcoin is Freedom says, I'm confident we win pretty much all the games remaining other than maybe at Wisconsin, at Illinois. Michigan State, Wisconsin at home won't be gimmies. Maybe Ohio State, not a gimme. Confident every other game. Illinois is going to be at 100%. This is my big prediction. Illinois is going to be 100% with Terrence Shannon for the rest of the season. So Illinois becomes a better team again right away. They'll be the team that was playing just killer basketball in December. Terrence Shannon's charges, from what I understand, I watched Sleepers Media talked about his charges. This case is flimsy. It looks to me, sounds to me like, and then I went and I read more about it. It seems flimsy. And I don't want anybody abusing anybody. I don't want any man ever abusing a woman. I don't ever want to hear and see about that, and guys deserve to be punished. But this case seems really flimsy, and it's much different than it was initially reported. I will say that. I'm no Illinois fan. I am not a fan of their fans. I don't know anything about Terrence Shannon. I don't wish anybody to be wrongly accused. I don't wish anybody to have to go through any sexual assault, obviously. This case seemed flimsy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I think they're going to be at full strength, and that makes them a much, much tougher team. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Preston Manick says Northwestern is like fourth in the Big Ten. Okay. I think the point is that's a pretty good team. Is that what you're saying? Big Ten's weak. Big Ten is historically weak. I think you're going to get 6 to 7 teams into the tournament from the Big Ten. Usually it's 7 to 8. Big Ten is weak. Northwestern's not great. Boo Booey is great. Collins is a jackass. So you owe them one. Everybody owes them one on Purdue's bench. James Phipps says, last year we won a lot of games. This year it seems the games we win are winning by greater margin. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. This team is better. If we just wanted to say real quickly, who's better on Purdue? Everybody. Everybody's better. That's a starter, right? TKR is playing better. Edie's playing better. Lawyer's playing better. Smith is playing better. And Lance Jones is really damn good. Really a good addition. And he seems to be playing better basketball as we get deeper in the season. I'm hoping that we're seeing this new version of Lance Jones, because he wasn't the most efficient player at Southern Illinois, if you look at him statistically. Hopefully, Painter's idea of taking good shots within the offense is the thing that's working. And it's not just like we're seeing like a flash in the pan and this really good couple of weeks. Hopefully, we're seeing just, okay, this is Lance Jones under different tutelage in a different system, and it's making a big difference. If he can just play efficient basketball, being the talent that he is and the enthusiastic person that he is, it's going to be a huge boon for Purdue. So, all right. Andy in Colorado says the fact that he's been successful getting himself reinstated tells me the prosecution is utter garbage, and it seems like it is. You're talking about Terrence Shannon again, obviously. I'll tell you what, I don't want to get into this, and I've already gotten into it too much. I didn't want to get into this too much, but it seems like, because I'm interrupting myself because I'm trying not to say stupid things that are recorded here. I just think his case is flimsy. And I think I was pretty upset when I saw how he was cheered by Illinois when he came back in after his suspension. But, man, I'm not going to say I understand Illinois fans because I don't. I think Illinois fans are a weird bunch. They are a bunch of people that almost perpetually play the victim card. They're still angry that Cockburn didn't become Player of the Year. They're angry that they think that Edie gets preferential treatment. They've made weird conspiracies about refs and Purdue. They get hurt at everything. And the fact that they got Lawhorn there, Gibbs Lawhorn, perfect fit for that program. I do not like their fan base. The more I interact with them, they go around looking for themselves to be mentioned so they can get into fights. They're the worst. They are the worst. And I don't understand their mentality. But this case seems flimsy. So there you go. There's two sides of that thing. All right. Let's see. Bitcoin is Freedom said it took a miracle performance at Northwestern at home to compete with us. I think we win by 15 to 20 at home. Home court advantage is that big in college basketball. It's big. I wouldn't take anything for granted with Purdue. I don't think they're going to take anything for granted. I think Boo Booey is a special talent. I think you have to have somebody step up and not let him get comfortable all game, or maybe multiple somebodies. There's no Ray Davis coming in that door. That's the problem Purdue has. If you're going to say there's one glaring thing as Purdue fans that we don't like, that's the fact there's not one stopper. Remember, Nigel Eastern was a pretty good defensive stopper for 2-3 years, right? Ray Davis was a great defensive stopper. Chris Kramer was a great defensive stopper. But they don't have that on this team. Lance Jones, I was hoping he's that. He's not that. It's okay. I'm not putting the guy, I'm not disparaging, I'm not putting him down. But yeah, having a guy that can shut down the other guy on the team, a dynamic guard that can score, it may take a system. It may take 3 guys to do things and different looks and all sorts of things. Throw everything at him. Don't let him get comfortable. But he's good. The ball's in his hands all the time. He's really dynamic, as we've seen. Yeah, Andy in Colorado says DGL's mom is hilarious. Yeah, she's a real riot. What a joy. That's a bad person. And anybody that wishes death upon a person who's just doing their job, and if you don't know the history, DGL's mom wished death upon Brian Newbert as he struggled with a returning of a tumor. Yeah, she's a bad person. So all the social media stuff aside, you're still a person when you're on social media. It's not like there's some dome of your actions not counting, your words not counting when you're on social media. They still count. She's a bad person. So he needs to get her out of his life. I don't say that a lot, but he's old enough. He's tried to put his foot down a little bit recently, it seems. So that's a bad thing to quit on, but it's something that matters. And if you don't know the history on that, you can look it up, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore. And I think that's in. So for this mini Handsome Hour, which is most post games anymore, long post game, thanks for tuning in. Purdue is 18-2. Purdue will face Rutgers next time, and we are excited about it. Until then, God bless you. Hammer down. Maybe we'll have a show between now and then. I don't know. See if anything strikes me. But thanks for tuning in. God bless you. We'll see you later.